nimble today. All right, here we are. Not the smartest guys in the room. It says in person live events, and it says what's up? How you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you? How are you? Fresh back from Chicago. This is the impetus behind today's topic obviously is Dom, you were just at in-person live event over the weekend in Chicago, CreateCon 2025. So we agreed last week actually we were going to talk about this, and we were like, actually, you know what? Let's wait until after Creative Con. I've got some thoughts, but what are your thoughts after coming back fresh off of an event? Oh, muted, buddy.
See, I already, I see people saying they're looking for the room. I see Jason. What's up, Jason? You're asking what my thoughts are. I will say your voice sounds extra hoarse today, Tom. Before I get in that, you've got a real baritone to your voice. You started smoking more cigars or something?
No, I'm definitely not doing anything different. I'm just got back in from a ride. So it's just kind of cooling off, hence wearing the t-shirt, even though it's winter, still a little warm. But no, not anything different.
All right. So, well, if you say so, but I'm going to dig in on that and poll people and see if your voice is Tom's voice different today. But all right, Jason, Jamie, before we get started, answer: is Tom's voice different today?
Sounds deeper.
Okay, deeper one, Jamie. Jamie, our Canadian friend, is Tom's voice deeper?
I have to keep listening to it.
Okay. All right, David Kidd, what's up? How you doing today, my man? All right, let's get this started. So I went to an in-person event this weekend, co-hosted one, Creative Con, and thrilled with the results. The energy was off the charts, and I think when you set out to have an energy, to set out to have an event, you want to create community, you want to have kick-ass energy, and we were able to accomplish those kind of things. So for me, I met a lot of people. Everybody, sometimes there's this thought in the world called the assignment. So let's say me and Tom, we come on every week. We try to have a good show. We try to have some fun. We bust each other's chops. That's the assignment, right? We know that's what we do. So at that event, a bunch of people network and a bunch of people high energy. It went as good as can be, man. So that's my thoughts to start out on real life events. So Tom, what say you? And then let's get to Jason, Jamie. I see we got some more people down there. So let's just keep going around. Go on.
So how does my voice sound now? Does it sound a little bit more normal?
Jason, what do you think? Because when I say something, he
normal.
doesn't trust me. You notice he's distrusting of me? We should have a show. Does Tom trust Dom?
Okay, maybe it sounds a little bit lower. Yeah.
In all technical matters, the answer to that is no.
Hey, I've been painting finishing my basement for months and months and months. Today, painters are here. So if anybody's watching on YouTube or where we stream and I look different today, that's because I'm not in the Bat Cave, which is my office downstairs. Now the Bat Cave, I am upstairs. I'm moving on up. I'm like George Jefferson today.
You've been allowed out of the basement?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm moving on up, man. Okay. So Tom, Jolanta was our so speaking of in real life, Jolanta was our photographer this weekend. She did a great job. I'm starting to see images come through. She was kicking butt. I met her husband, Mitch, was there. Mitch was in the house. He's one cool cat. He's like she comes with like an entourage. So Mitch, if somebody gets too close to her, he's watching to make sure that nobody gets in her shot or is that so? We'll get to that. But okay, Tom, in real life, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think in real life, like in-person live events, can be great, right? But they are not sort of great by default. And I think because of the world that we live in, because of the events of the last, going back, I mean, very close to 5 years ago now, right? Which is wild to think about. That it was almost 5 years ago that the world kind of ground to a halt when the coronavirus pandemic first started, right? It was early it was about mid-March, right? So we're only a couple of weeks away from like the 5-year anniversary of kind of everything sort of shutting down and the world, our world's changing. All in-person live events canceled essentially for the majority of the rest of that year. So 9 months essentially of canceled events. And I think what you ended up with was a lot of people who missed being around other people, which totally makes sense. We're social creatures, right? Human beings are social creatures. We thrive in groups. So it completely makes sense that people would miss being in person with other folks, with other members of their community. So you get people missing it. But then in addition to that, you get people then sort of assigning false value or overinflated value to those events. And so you end up where like the pendulum, because the pendulum swung so far in the direction of everything being shut down, it naturally swings really far back in the other direction of everyone assigning overinflated arbitrary value to being in person since then, right? So over the last 5 years, as in-person events have gotten more and more commonplace and more people are doing them, you get people kind of just assuming, right, without justification, that an in-person event is by definition going to be amazing or going to be better than a virtual event, right? Which is obviously the sort of antithetical to or antithesis of or the other side of that coin, right? When you're talking about in-person events, the other side of that coin are virtual events. And so I think we've ended up in this situation where people just sort of like in their heads or artificially assign a really high overinflated value to in-person events and just sort of definitionally assume that every in-person event is going to be freaking great. And they're not, right? I think there's a lot of things that go into making an in-person event great. But it is very possible that an in-person event is not great. So I think it depends on what you're looking for out of it and whether or not the event actually delivers on its promise. I think those are the things that you really should be looking at to determine whether or not an event is successful. Does it deliver on its promise? Is it a networking event? Is it an educational event? Is it an inspirational event? Whatever the case may be, right? Does it deliver on its promise? And did you actually get out of it what you were hoping for? And if you can say yes to both of those, then I think it's a win. But if you can't, it's not great just because it's in person, right? We all have lots of experiences where we've been at a party we didn't want to be at. We've been at an event we didn't want to be at, where we were at somebody's house we didn't want to be at, right? Like whatever the case may be, we've all had situations where we're stuck in person and we don't want to be there. So I think that in and of itself is proof that by virtue of being in person, events are not great, right? There's a lot more that goes into it. So yeah, they can be great, but they're not all by default fantastic. So,
Tom, did I ever tell you that I was at a Halloween party one time and I just wasn't having a good time? And I went to the backyard and there was like a fence around the backyard and I didn't want to go out the front door. So I climbed the fence in the backyard. This is like as an adult. It was like 4 streets from my house. I climbed the fence in the backyard and ran home.
Okay, so that made me think of something as you were saying. That's hilarious, by the way. But that actually made me think of something as you were starting to say that. I was going to say, like, we should ask everybody in the room, like, have you ever pulled the what is commonly known as an Irish goodbye, right? Which is, I mean, yours is like the extreme definition of an Irish goodbye, right? Like, not only did you not say goodbye and you actually jumped a fence and like ran through somebody else's backyard to get out of there. That was more like an escape, more like a great escape than an Irish goodbye. But I'm surprised you didn't have to dig a tunnel. But but yeah, I mean, I think if you've ever pulled an Irish goodbye, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been at a live or in-person event that wasn't wasn't delivering, or B, you didn't see the value in, and so you decided to leave. So yeah, I think we've all been there at some point. I don't know if we've all been jumping the fence, anxious to get out of somewhere, but I think we've all been anxious to get out of someplace that we didn't think was really delivering on its promise or entertainment value for us.
It could happen. Okay, let's see. So, Jason, we're coming back to you, but we're going to go Jamie first since she was clapping here. So, Jamie, then Jason, and our friend Jolanta. Dave, Chris, David, what's up? Go on. Hey, we got two Daves, Dave and David down there. Okay, go. I wonder if do people get mad if you're called like a David, or a David, a Dave? I always wonder that. So, okay, go on, Jamie.
I'd say yes. Dave, David. Some people like, my husband's a Jimmy. He's not a James.
Okay.
But anyways, I did that on the weekend. I have lots of mobility issues, and I was in so much pain at the event that I didn't want to go up the stairs again. So I had my husband go say goodbye for me. But not that I didn't want to be there. Like, I was enjoying myself, but my physical pain was just too much to be standing and climbing the stairs again. So I had to leave. So and I'm Irish too. That's kind of funny that you say that. So sometimes we have to leave for different reasons. But I've done that a lot as a teenager. I was shy. I was yappy still, but I was shy. So I'd be like, and then just do. Not no more. You guys are going to know when I'm going to come to next year. That's for sure.
There you go. Right on. I was at a networking event one time in Manhattan, and it was probably like my first step into this, like a different level than I was used to. And I was feeling the same way. What do I do here? Nobody knows me. I went into the bathroom and like put water on my face, and I was like, F it. It's time to do it. So, okay, Jason, ever, as Tom termed it, an Irish goodbye, ever run out of a place? And then how about in real life events? What do you got for us?
Yeah, I've given some Irish goodbyes, but it's nothing personal. I just felt like leaving. I mean, if I'm going to an event that it's not personal, like it's just someone invited me to a ticketed event, yeah, I might know people, but I don't always feel it necessary to say goodbye. I mean, if I'm coming from a long distance, that's a different story. So say like if I went to Chicago or if I went to Detroit and I'm from California, then I would think that would really be bad on me if I didn't, or at least attempt to. But yeah, less personal events. I've done it. Not even thought twice about it.
One more time, Jason. Now back to the in real life. When you go to a in real life, in-person event, are you trying to get something different out of each one? Or do you always know I'm going to try to get 15 cards? I'm going to try to meet this person. How do you set up what success is for you at an event?
Well, depending on the event, I look at what I'm going for. It's the information, the connections, those come, but I don't know. I just have an open perspective. I don't really expect anything a return right away. It's just kind of like if it happens, it happens.
All right, right on, man. Okay, people, short. I gotta ask better questions. I have to ask better questions. In person live events. What say you, Jolanta, who I saw this weekend? Jolanta knows how to get the pictures. She'll stop you right in your tracks. Like if something cool's going on, she'll just like stop action right there and be like, you will take this picture right now. And she caught some good ones. So Jolanta, I'm excited to see more. What say you, Jolanta, in-person events? Have you been to any? What do you think? What say you?
Good morning, Dom, Tom, Jason. Hey, everyone. It's so great to be back home. Jamie, Jamie, I'm kind of like you in a way. I also have mobility issues. So sometimes for me to move around, it takes a little bit to get going. But in-person events. Sometimes it really depends on who is going to be there. Tom, you're talking about an Irish goodbye. In Minnesota, we have something called a Minnesota long goodbye. So if you're leaving and you say you're going, it might take you a little while to get out of there. So there have been some events where I just sit in a corner sometimes and I observe the room. I scan the room to see what's happening before I jump in. Sometimes I've sat at a table all alone and no one knew who I was. So which is okay. I'm okay with that too. That's part of networking. I think for me, in-person events is a given because in the industry that I'm in, I have to network, right? Otherwise, I don't know if I'd make the connections that I'm supposed to make. And so, my mom is actually more the networker than I am. She'll network for me. When I go to events for fashion shows or filmmaking or anything like that, she'll pass out my card. She'll be like, "Hey, my daughter does this. Here you go." She's my best networker for me. My husband, on the other hand, is a total different person. He will make a dash out of the room because he's an introvert. So it's hard for him to be in the room as well, but he'll try to be there. And I think we have Zoom, right? So Zoom networking is kind of cool where you can go virtually. I love virtual events. Give me a virtual event. I'll be there all the time. I have no problem with that because I don't have to be on camera as well. Because like Tom was talking about the pandemic really hurt me for those first 4 years because we had no events. It was shut down. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go out and shoot. It was just kind of odd. That was actually odd for me. So have I had an Irish goodbye? Heck yeah. I've been to places where I'm like, nope, not my vibe. Bye. So I'll leave it there, Dom. Back to you.
Tom, thank you, Jolanta. You are awesome, spectacular. Hey, Tom, who knew Irish goodbyes was going to be the topic that people wanted to discuss today?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't plan it that way anyway. It just kind of came out of my mouth, and I was looking it up because I know I've looked it up before, but I couldn't remember what the default was for the saying, like where it came from, what the etymology was, I should say. And nobody really knows apparently. So according to the Irish Star, which is an Irish newspaper, the origin was likely a disparaging term, probably related to alcohol consumption or drunkenness, as the stereotypes go for Irish people. But obviously one that folks of Irish descent and people in Ireland have embraced. So I think I think that's totally it's totally fine. But it's funny because I didn't anticipate that when I first brought it up. And what's interesting too is Jolanta mentioned the Minnesota long goodbye. So my family is sort of like in my family we kind of famously go either extreme. So either it'll be you'll turn around and somebody will just be gone, and you'll be like, oh, where did so and so at a family gathering? And you go, oh, where did so and so go? And it they'll just have disappeared, or you'll decide that you want to leave in an hour, so you should probably start saying goodbye to people, because what ends up happening is you have to go around, and as you go to say goodbye to everybody that you should say goodbye to, you end up in a 10-minute conversation with each one of those people. And so you end up, it takes like over an hour to extract yourself from the situation. So it's kind of famously one way or the other. But yeah, I had no idea that the Irish goodbye was going to be the sort of the footnote or the take over the conversation from in-person or live events. But
can I get a answer on this, Tom?
Sure.
I was at a funeral with my wife the other day, and we had paid our respects to everybody. We were on our way out. We had agreed we would be on our way out, and she stopped to talk to somebody that we had already talked to, and I kept walking and waited outside. Now, she says I should have stopped and came back. Now, I said we were already on our way out and I was already past, so I would have had to go back to the conversation. How do you think I should have handled that?
Interesting. So here's what I think I would have done in a similar situation. It's kind of the only way I can answer this, I think, right? So I think what I would have done is, you said I waited outside. So I don't know how far outside is, right? Like, I don't know if you mean outside the room or you mean like you actually exited the building and you were outside the building, or like, what do you mean by outside?
No, maybe like in a foyer.
Okay. Were you out of eye line?
Yes.
Okay. So I probably would have stopped slightly sooner, but I wouldn't have like turned around and walked back necessarily, unless I thought that, because my wife is much more the introvert, and so like it's usually easy, like if it's somebody that I know that she wants to talk to, then I would have stayed within eyesight, like within eye line, but I would have kept going and just waited like in the doorway or by the door or something like that. If it was somebody that I wasn't sure if she wanted to talk to, I might have gone back, because then I can be her excuse to get out of the conversation if she doesn't want to be in the conversation, right? But that's how I would do it with my wife. But that's because of I know her personality. But yeah, I probably would have stayed within eye line, like within, so that she could turn and find me and see where I was. Because then she can turn and look and be like, oh, I think Tom's ready to go. I got to go. Right. And like get herself out of the conversation that way. So yeah, I wouldn't have completely left to where she couldn't see me.
Okay. See, I felt like get out of eye line. I'm out of eye line, so I'll stay out of eye line, because if I'm in eye line, then I got to go back. Okay. In-person events, live events. In-person live events. This is not the smartest guys in the room. Stephanie, Dave, David, Dr. Tachi's in the house. Chris, Debbie, Phil. I was hanging out with Phil this weekend. Phil's one. He's like He-Man. He can lift, like, he just pushed me aside and lifted things over his head. I mean, this guy, he does it all. He's like a mythical creature that can just do everything. So, Phil Hill, what do you think about in-person live events?
Mythical creature that can lift things over his head. No, that was Sam. That was Julie's son. Hey, Dom, quick one. I put the whole 360 thing back in the box. That thing was heavy as hell. And I was playing around with Sam. He said, Sam, can you help me scoot this thing from the top of the deck down to the Streeterville? And Sam said, I could do it. He's got that Alabama college blood in him or something. He lifted that thing up and he grunted and strutted, and he's like, I said, Sam, I'll help you with it. And he's like, I got this. And I had a fun time. Our volunteers were so fun in person. The volunteers, the people that are actually working shoulder to shoulder with you.
So Phil, what was the event, man? Tell everybody here, if you're don't be so vague. Come on, man. What do you got?
It was Creative Con 2025, Creative Con number 2. Dom, thank you, and Julie. Awesome. I had a blast, but I worked it from a different angle. I mean, for me, second year in a row, I offered myself to serve. And though I came to partake and get little nuggets of this and that, I come there to serve, because I serve because I believe. I believe in the ones that had the vision, Julie and Dom, and then the rest of your admin team. You put the vision and the money and everything else up. I just want to come and help you be successful. And at the same time, I get to touch everybody. And that was the cool part about it. My flow of it was, let me tell you, it's just more and more Clubhouse people I got a chance to meet this year that I never met before. And I got a chance to meet everybody, and I got a chance to try to figure out who was connected to who. How did you get here? Who inspired or brought you here? And in the midst, I only left the building one time over the whole, 3 days or so. Finally, on the last day, I snuck around the corner and got some popcorn before my train had to leave. But there was a world of Chicago outside that building that I surely hope our guests, our attendees, and everyone got a chance to go and partake of. But it was cool for me to be able to get you a microphone and get you a chair, or run an errand. And when in that way, I got a chance to meet everybody. Now I didn't get engaging conversations to have with everybody, but I hope that in some way I put a smile on everyone's face, or I took a load off your table, and in the midst I bumped an elbow or touched an arm or somewhere. And then in the midst of it all, I also got nuggets of, and I know sometimes they say our celebrity folks are scripted and all that, but David Meltzer could not script, I'm sure, the passing of his mom the day before, 2 days before our event. And he had it in his heart to come still be with us. And what I found out quickly was that the love of his life, to some extent, his mom, aren't they all? She meant so much to him, and he expressed how really she did. It hit him hard on her passing. But then what you found out was that his mom was actually woven into his everyday story. And so that right there is real as real can get. And I was just so grateful that David came and shared and allowed us to be in that moment with him. And I hope in some ways all of us in the room were special for him. And so that being said, guys, the volunteer side of being in these events is so rewarding. I miss maybe a few keynote speakers and things, but I know it was a success. And at the end of it all, I probably tap elbows and slap hands and give you smiles all through the event all week. But then we're talking about the ending. When I know it's time to leave, I might give you a different kind of handshake or a different hug or take a picture with you finally. And because I know this is the last time. And I got to do all that kind of fast and furious because we're tearing down. We're doing all the things we do right, Dom. And then I got to remember, if I don't clock this thing right, I'm going to miss my train or my bus. I'm going to miss my train. I'm not going to get home on the last train out of Chicago, which I almost missed by 2 minutes. So, but it all worked out. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for allowing me up on this stage. And you can tell it's joy in my mind. And I hope we could do it again next year.
Yeah, right on, Phil Hill. Anytime, if any of you have a chance to meet Phil Hill, hang out with Phil Hill, have a one-on-one with him, this is a guy I would go into battle with, a guy that when times are the toughest, he'll get down on the floor and turn wrenches or do whatever he has to do. So he listens. I have your back. We're going to get to Joe Lawrence. Did you want to add something there? Or is that just a high five? Give me a flash. Okay, go on.
I do want to add something because
Go
I had
on.
a chance to meet Phil. And even if it was just briefly, he made sure to tell me goodbye when we were just checking out at our hotel. And he turned around and gives me, I don't know if I hugged you, Phil, but if I hugged you, thank you so much for your hug because, man, it was a really great weekend. And I'm so glad to have met you. You're like one of the warmest persons in the room that I was able to just talk to. And if I needed something, I could just come to you. And you helped out. You helped me out with the 360 because I'm trying to figure it out. I had to demonstrate, Dom, to everybody. I don't know if you probably left already. I had to demonstrate to everybody, this is how you do a 360. I was kind of like really shy up there. What do I do up here? What am I even doing on here? I was with Maddie True, and we were just doing the 360 up there. So it was really cool.
Yeah, 360 spin. Cool. That was cool. In-person live events. Dr. Tachi, Debbie, we're coming. Dave, okay. And now, a segment we always do. This is Tom's Thumbs, but this is a speed round Tom's Thumbs. Since I gave it, I actually, for the first time, I let Tom pick between three things, and he didn't know what I was talking about. So that means he has to give thumbs up, thumbs down to the three things. Okay.
Hold on. I got to pump the brakes real quick there. You didn't tell me that you were giving me a choice between three things. You just randomly listed three things. And I said, I don't know what that word salad means.
Well, you snooze, you lose. I can't explain all my bits. I can't give you detailed notes. Okay. So
I mean, I don't know. Hot tip. If you're asking a question, put one of those squiggly lines with the period underneath it, the question mark thing at the end of it.
Nope. Okay. Tom's Thumbs. Here it is. Tom, hot takes. Tom has to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on three things. So usually it's one thing. Today it is three things. 1, an asteroid coming towards Earth. 2, the Oscars. 3, Starbucks raising their prices. Tom, go for it.
I mean, I don't know. Asteroid coming towards Earth, thumbs down. If it collides with Earth, if it comes close and we're able to actually conduct some scientific exploration or experiments that help us better understand the universe around us, then it gets a thumbs up. So thumbs down if the asteroid hits us, thumbs up if it's a near miss and we get to study it and learn from it. I think that's fair, right?
Number one, good answer. Go.
All right. What was the second one?
The Oscars.
Ooh, the Oscars. So, oh man, you know, I think generally speaking, I have to give the Oscars a thumbs down. I think there's a little, they've sort of gotten ahead of themselves. Like they've put the cart before the horse. There's a little too much pageantry, and I genuinely think that very often a film that deserves to be recognized is not, and or a film that doesn't deserve to be recognized is, and it's really a result of lobbying by the studios to the Academy to essentially get their sort of bigger budget, larger films to get recognition so they can make more money off of them. And because there's that kind of influence on the Oscars, I kind of have to give them the thumbs down. I think the Oscars broadcast and the Oscar ceremony has produced some real entertainment gems over the years. So I like that, but I think the Golden Globes tend to be a little bit better in terms of like entertainment moments from the award ceremony. It's a little bit more fun. It's a little looser. People are a little bit more, it doesn't take itself quite as seriously as the Oscars do. And, you know, famously, it's actually a dinner. So people are eating and drinking and it gets a little sauced up by the end. So, and a little bit more fun and a little bit more loose. So yeah, I would say overall thumbs down on the Oscars. It's fun, but it's not great.
Okay, we got a thumbs up, thumbs down for Asteroid coming towards Earth. We got a thumbs down for the Oscars. And the final one is Starbucks raising their prices 25%. What do you got?
Yeah, I got a hard thumbs down on that one, right? I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'd have to look them up. I don't have like, you know, Starbucks profits over the last few years. But look, I think Starbucks is engaged in a variety of bad business practices and things that I disagree with. They are obviously engaged in union busting. We've all seen stories about that over the last several years. They're actively trying to discourage workers from forming and joining unions at stores all over the place. So that's a big problem for me. The other big problem is I'd be willing to bet that their profits are better than they've ever been. Right. I'd be willing to bet that if you look at their earnings reports, if you look at their quarterly calls, their shareholder calls, that their profits are consistently going up. And so essentially what they're doing is they are price gouging, and they're probably going to blame it on inflation. Right. Like the story is going to be, we're going to raise prices. And it's like, we have to raise prices because of inflation, so sorry. And the other side of that, like they're going to say that while simultaneously raking in bigger profits than ever, right? So it's not like their margins are getting squeezed. It's not like they're on the verge of profitability or not. They just want to gouge more money out of people's pockets, and they think they can get away with it, so they're going to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, we kind of still live in this world that's driven by economic policy that started, again, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but this economic policy that started back in the 1970s and then, you know, was put into practice over time. I'm not going to mention Julie's favorite economist. But yeah, you know, we live in a world that's all profit driven, where businesses feel that their only obligation is to deliver higher and higher profits to shareholders, and that they have no obligation to the communities that they're a part of. And I think that's bullshit. And so, yeah, I hard thumbs down to Starbucks, unless they could demonstrate to me that the only way that they can stay viable as a business is to raise their prices. Then I would withdraw that thumbs down. But
I seriously doubt that's the case. Again, I don't have their numbers in front of me. I don't have their earnings report in front of me. But yeah, I think they're price gouging, and they get a hard thumbs down for that.
Okay, we got that was intense. We got a thumbs up and a thumbs down, and then I think a thumbs down and a thumbs down. So I think we got three and that's a lot of thumbs down. Okay.
It is a lot of thumbs down. Yeah, I mean the asteroid is like it's a thumbs middle. It depends. But yeah, the other ones, I would say soft thumbs down for Oscars, but like a hard, emphatic, like with an exclamation point, thumbs down for Starbucks raising prices.
Okay, that's fair. Not the smartest guys in the room. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you. That is Tom's Thumbs, our short segment that we try to rile Tom up. So, okay, what do we got? In-person live events. Dr. Tachi was here, and she said that she heard a big sigh from Tom. When did the big sigh come, Dr. Tachi? And what do you think about live events? Hello, Julie, Debbie, Jason, Caleb. I had an employee one time, and his name was Caleb. And I called him and I was like, is Caleb there? And my wife said, it's Caleb. So, okay, back to Dr. Tachi. What do you got, Dr. Tachi?
Can you all hear me?
You sound beautiful.
Okay, good. Because I'm in the store and I'm trying not to shout. But I was saying that because before you gave him the Tom's thumbs, he was like, oh, I just fell over laughing. That's where the sigh came from, where I guess he had to determine what to say. But I love Tom's thumbs, and I love you guys, and good morning to everyone. Live events. Oh, but before we go to that, I did want to speak a little bit on the Oscars / award shows, if you don't mind. Just a tiny thing. Overall, I'm good on award shows. I've had enough because while I do appreciate the sentiment of being recognized for your talent by your peers, I do agree with Tom and what's been said that a lot of it, especially with the Oscars, is for commercial purposes. Number two, while I do appreciate you all celebrating each other, I don't want to watch you for 3+ hours celebrate each other. Give me the red carpet so I can see what you have on, and I'll take highlights. I don't need the whole thing, particularly if it's a few lackluster performances. The fact that they have these shows is really for commercial purposes. They figured out that they could monetize this, and that we had such an attachment to quote unquote stars that we would watch. But the tide is turning. New generation is not watching television like the older generations did, and especially not these damn award shows. So for me, thumbs down for award shows. Do it in private and show me the red carpet, and I'm good. So to that, the what is the thing we're talking about? In-person
live events. Hey,
yes.
Dr. Tachi, before you get to that, are you going to do a video about the Oscars? Are you going to give us your thoughts on them? Will I see that on LinkedIn soon?
We may. I may. I know we're coming. MediaScope comes back next week.
Okay.
So I may talk a little bit about that as one of the things. So probably so, in terms of whatever. And I mean, I'm a huge film person, so I think it's important. I think it's important to talk about, but it's the same 10 people congratulating themselves all the time. So okay. So you may get a little bit of something.
That's fair. Okay, in real life events, what do you got? You go, you care, or are you going to hide in your basement like I often do?
No, I love in-person events, but I love virtual events too because it opens up so much more where you don't have to actually spend the money to go to these events. Now, yes, granted, there's a little bit lost in terms of actually meeting people in person and getting to contact or connect with them in person. I do admit that. So I like that aspect of being able to connect with people in person. There's just something special when you're able to do it face to face versus virtual. But I also do think that if you have a good event and it's well planned and you take the online audience into account, it can be just as rich of an experience when you do it virtually. In fact, I love hybrid events. I've been to some good hybrid events, and I've been to some events where they did it hybrid, but the online aspect was just a throwaway. Their main thing was the live event. So I think if you balance it well, hybrid events can really work well. So yes, I love in-person events, but I also love virtual events that are done well because it saves on costs. And I'm kind of jealous that I was not at Creative Con, just have to say. I rust the mic.
There you go. I appreciate you, Dr. Tachi, and I'm sorry you weren't there. So, Tom, what say you? Then we got Debbie and Julie. Go on.
No, I mean, I appreciate Dr. Tachi's perspective, and I agree. I think it is, as so many other things are, the Oscars are 100%, a for-profit commercial enterprise. And yeah, they're absolutely cashing in or capitalizing on people's attention for celebrity. But I agree. I think I think it's been waning. That sentiment has been waning over time, and I think it's why overall you see things that are more popular in retrospect tend to be things like the Golden Globes, where they tend to be a little bit more open, a little bit more honest, and they tend to roast the celebrities in the room. They kind of tend to take them down a peg, which I think is much more relatable for the sort of broad viewing audience. They like to see celebrities kind of taken down a peg and made to feel like they are flawed human beings like the rest of us, right? Who make mistakes and do silly things. So I like that aspect. Like Ricky Gervais hosting the Golden Globes was, I mean, just gold. He was ruthless standing out there at the podium with his beer, just tearing people apart in a hilarious way. So I mean, I also I tend to be a big fan of roasts. I did not like the Brady roast because again, it felt like the Oscars of roasts, and it was just ridiculous and overdone. There were pieces of it that I thought were good. But like the old school roasts where they just get up and everybody does like a short set and they just tear into the person. I mean, some of those are just amazing, So yeah, I agree with Dr. Tachi. I think, and it's no secret that we tend to co-sign on what the other one says, that we agree a lot on this stuff. So I'm unsurprisingly, doing that once again. And Dr. Tachi throws it hard. Appreciate it. Right back at you. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, on Clubhouse, streaming all over the internet. We're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. And we appreciate you guys being here as always. Going around the room, Debbie Griffiths is here. Debbie, what is your take on in-person live events? Is it worth it to go out of your way to attend them?
Good morning, everyone. I just came back from a wonderful event this weekend, Creative Con, and I'm on the West Coast having to fly into Chicago. So it's a bit of a jaunt for me and a bit of investment for me as well, both monetarily and time-wise. But I couldn't have walked away feeling more love and gotten so much just benefit from the workshops and connecting with people and listening to like David Meltzer and the other speakers and stuff. You get you have to go to these things with the right attitude to begin with, and I certainly received a whole bunch of nuggets, and I'm still in the process of trying to dissect them all and figure it all out. But I really kind of want to piggyback on what Phil was saying earlier. This year I went there both, I volunteered my time, and I also volunteered to speak at one of the workshops, and I went there to not only meet more people, but also to step out of my own comfort zone and grow, myself. So that's where I think the benefit of a lot of these live events are. So I'm all for. I can't wait for Creative Con number 3 next year, and that's what it's about. Virtual events have their time and place. They're great too. It's sometimes it's a way to reconnect with familiar faces and stuff, but I do like the live events where I can what I have to pick and choose which ones I go to between time and money, but I certainly recommend that people go to live events. You need to have that human connection. You need to see what other people are doing, what other people think, what other people say, and it's totally worth it. So thank you. I land my plane.
Thank you, Debbie. We appreciate you, Debbie. What's your dog's name? We hear it. We hear it. It's all right. This is a dog-friendly room.
His name is Cody. He's a year now.
You told me it's real small.
He's small, yes.
Okay. Hey, I want to say this is what I would add to just hanging out with Debbie this weekend. We saw Debbie I've been friends with Debbie for a couple of years now. We saw her at the first Creative Con, and her confidence, her message has been growing over the past couple of years, I would say. And I saw my friend Debbie like working the room. She wearing a QR. I saw, we got out, like pulled up in front of the hotel at the same time, and she gets out of her car with merch on. She had a QR code on the back of her sweatshirt. And here's somebody who, in the past couple of years, proud of the story, brave, so much courage. And I'm seeing it and I'm thinking like, holy shit, like this lady's got it. And I've been listening to some of her podcasts and stuff too, and feeling that same way. So stay the course. We see it, Debbie. We see you. So that's growth. I'm proud of that. Okay, let's go. In-person live events. Okay, now this is the creator. I'm a co. Like I'm an and company, but Julie's the creator of Creative Con. So in-person live events. Do you think they matter, Julie? Can they make a difference? What is your thoughts on in-person live events?
Well, I love you guys all. I mean, to be honest, I do appreciate the convenience of Zoom events. However, leaving this event this year, the ripple effect is so much stronger. I'm not even kidding. All week long, everyone has been talking about it, and they become the ambassadors for your brand, for your vision, for your mission. I don't know any other way to do it than getting people in the same room aligned with really positive, strong energy. And that's what I saw this weekend. And I know Dom and I couldn't have done it without Jolanta, Phil Hill, Debbie, and everybody else, because it takes a village. It is exhausting, but I mean, I was on an adrenaline high, but people are talking about it left and right. I just got back from Breakfast with Champions. Hundreds of people. I don't have to talk about it anymore because they're all talking about it. So that is the cool ripple effect of being in real life and actually having the eye contact and feeling other people's energy. I thrive off of that. So thanks for asking. It was amazing.
Right on, and I'm starting to see some pictures, and one of my favorite pictures right now is Julie and her dad just smiling away. My point being, moment captured. Sometimes you can catch a moment, a timeless moment. So that's a special job, well done. Okay, in-person live events. All right, in-person live events. What say you? We got, okay, show and tell. I'm going to make this so brief today, Tom, so we can keep our flow. And Little But Mighty. Okay, you ready for Little But Mighty?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I just watched like a little short circuit as you were like trying to decide what direction to go in, and you were like, "Go in person live." Go.
Was I glitching? I thought that was smooth.
No, it
Dr.
felt like
Dr. Tachi, I don't trust Tom's opinion. Was that smooth or was it not smooth? She's still shopping. She's checking herself out. Oh, go.
Wait, what smooth?
Well, never mind. Tom saying that I was stuttering or something like that. I don't know what he's talking about.
I think you were just trying to find your footing. It wasn't too bad.
I'm just saying.
I heard it too, Dom. Don't
Man,
worry.
you
I
guys,
heard it too.
you guys all suck, man.
Oh man, I love it. It wasn't too that bad.
Man.
Is
The replays
hilarious.
are on, right, Tom?
All right. How about this, Dom? How about this?
What? Go
Why
on.
don't you show and tell us about something?
I'm not in the mood. Okay, here's what it is. Little but mighty. My mom was from New Mexico, loved bright things, loved Mexican restaurants, loved adobe buildings, loved everything that was bright. I was in a Mexican restaurant up in town about 30 miles from my house one day, and I saw they had all these little magnets and things like that. So I bought one, this little bitty cactus. It is that small. It's smaller than a key on a keyboard. This little bitty cactus. So small. Look, compared to my face, you can't even see it. It's that small. Reminds me of mom and is super special to me. So it does not have to be big to make a huge impact. Little can make huge impact. This, my cactus, that's show and tell for you today, Tom.
I like it. So it's a magnet. So where do you keep it?
It hangs on the side of a refrigerator.
Nice.
And I walk through, I can see a little magnet.
So
and then I went back to them. So I went back and bought my sister one so she could have one.
Nice. So then every time you walk through the kitchen, there's a little reminder of mom there on the side of the fridge.
There you go.
That's, no, I love that. So
small but mighty.
There you go. So your mom, with your mom being from New Mexico, and obviously I know you guys have traveled out there a bunch. You traveled out there growing up, and like that's where your mom's family is and stuff like that, right? So, do you do? I have a question for you about your chili. Do you do green or red or Christmas?
If I'm making chili, I would make red chili with beans in it, but we made a lot of enchiladas, and if I would use green sauce on enchiladas. So
that's what I'm talking about. Is the chili sauce? Like when I say chili, like New Mexican chili, like I'm not talking about like chili a soup, right? Or stew.
Then I want green. I want green. I want green chilies. If I go somewhere, sometimes I'll get an enchilada, and it comes out and it's not green. I'm like, oh, really a letdown to me.
Gotcha. Okay, because it's like I'm sure you've seen it like on menus in restaurants or whatever that you get. Like you order something, you tell them if you want green or red, they'll ask you like enchiladas, and they'll say green or red, right? And they're talking about the sauce, and then you the other option that some people say is Christmas, right? So you get green on one side and red on the other, right? To get both, because the flavor is a little bit different. Right, the green chilies are younger. The red chilies are just older versions of the same chili. Right, so it's a little bit different flavor. But I think that was very cool. I like that. I like that show and tell. I like that show.
Small but mighty. Gotcha. Okay, before we wrap up, let's get one more. Let's get another tip. In real life event. You're going to an in real life event. We're going to start with Dr. Tachi. What do you got for me, Tom?
Well, I was going to say, I got an idea for this, Dom, that maybe we just ask everybody to give us, and you and feel free to shoot this down, but like maybe we just ask everybody to give us.
No. Go on. I'm sorry.
Everybody gives us one thing that is, in their opinion, crucial for a live in-person event to succeed.
I agree. Okay. So, Dr. Tachi, we're going with you first. For a live event to succeed, one crucial thing. What do you got?
Do you mean from the organizers' end or from the participants' end?
Tom was broad, so you go.
Okay, well, I'll give you both. From the participants' end, come with a goal in mind in terms of networking or what you want to get out of it. If you just go blindly, you'll get nothing out of it. In terms of from the organizers' end, again, I love both, but you have to have a virtual component and make it a virtual component that's just not a throwaway. I rest.
Thank you. We got Julie said, she said, be interested, think of the guest experience as opposed to the speaker. Okay, good stuff. Debbie Griffith, what do you got?
Coming as an introvert, get out of your comfort zone. Make a goal of meeting at least 5 people and do the follow-up of, after the event, after you get their cards or their contact information, follow up with them.
Wise tips. Phil Muscleman Hill, what do you got?
Sometime during the event, all of the attendees must feel that the organizers or the event sees them. Just some type of someone touches them, makes eye contact, or gives them a brief conversation to let them know that they're seen, they're appreciated. We see you here. We appreciate all that you've gone through to get here. That makes a big difference, and I believe we accomplished that this past weekend.
Beautiful Phil Hill. Jolanta.
Show up as you are. Be authentic as yourself. I think there's nothing more than being authenticity, because what I heard a lot was people that were saying that when you sound the way you sound on Clubhouse might be a little bit different in person. And so when I got to hug all of you at the event, minus Tom, I'm sorry you weren't there. It's interesting to me because I was like, Dominick sounds exactly like who he is. Julie sounds exactly who she is. I'm from Clubhouse. So be who you are and show up, and also bring your business cards, because you never know who you're going to exchange with.
Well said, Jolanta. And I would say, and Julie would agree, we don't have a year 2 if it wasn't for people like Tom believing us in year 1. So thank you for that. So I will give you, for me, as an organizer, it's never about you. It's always about them. As soon as you make it about you, it's a loss. So it's always about them. Tom, that's what I got. And at this point, I am done talking. So Tom, give us a wrap up. In real life, the Oscars, asteroids coming to Earth. What do you got? Irish goodbyes. We got a lot. Go on.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground today. But I think we'll stay true to the topic at hand, in-person live events, for the wrap up, right? So I think we've put the other things to bed. I gave a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we agreed that we've all pulled an Irish goodbye at some point or another. So for live events, I mean, I think that there are a couple of sort of key crucial components to a successful live event, right? Right off the bat, I think live events are great, but I also think that they are not great by definition, right? They have to be made great. And in order to make a live in-person event great, there are a couple of things that you have to do. You have to have engaging content and programming that is, as you very rightfully pointed out, and Dom and other people said in the room, is audience first, right? It 100% has to be audience experience first, right? It's not about the speakers. The speakers are there for the audience, right? The event was created for the audience, right? The success or failure of the event depends on the audience, right? So everything is about the audience, about their experience, and about what they get to take away from the event. So make sure that you have engaging content or programming that is audience first. Next, once you've kind of figured that out, you've decided, okay, here's what we want to do, right? You have to be really meticulous in your planning, right? You have to be very meticulous in your scheduling, your planning, pulling off the logistics, right? So you've got great intentions, but if you've got terrible logistics, it's going to fall on its face, right? So make sure that you've got really good logistics. You are meticulous in your planning and the coordination of the event. That includes everybody from the organizers to the event volunteers to the speakers, and to making sure that the audience knows where to be and when, right? So all of that planning really matters. And then lastly, in terms of like overarching sort of experiential goals, make sure that you really create the atmosphere for the audience that you want to create. Make sure that in terms of like thematically, that everything is consistent, that it doesn't feel like one event at one moment and a different event at another moment, that there is consistency and cohesiveness across the event from start to finish so that everybody knows where they are and why they're there every moment of the day, right? So I think if you do all of those things right, you're going to have a successful live in-person event. But don't rest on your laurels. Don't try to rest on the idea that just because it's in person, it's inherently good, because that's not true. I think we've all been to those events and we've all Irish goodbyed from them. So make sure that if you're gonna put on a live event, that it is engaging and audience focused, that you are meticulous with your planning and coordination, and that you create a cohesive, consistent, positive atmosphere for the entire event so that people want to stay and want to come back year after year. And that's all I got for today. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. We appreciate you guys as always. We love you guys. We can't wait to see you again next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern right here in Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. For Dom, I'm Tom. Until then, have a great rest of your week. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.